what is the overall impact of poor sleep or sleep deprivation to this body?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's huge. I just gave one example, like less ability to be rational. If we just think about what impact that has on our lives, if we make less rational decisions, we're more likely to, choose foods that are bad for us, choose partners that are bad for us, choose careers that are bad for us, make decisions within all of those areas that are bad for us, more likely to take drugs, like get involved in things we shouldn't. I mean, it's endless, right? So that's just one example. But yeah, let's do the full gamut. And again, I'll do it quickly. So premature aging and death is one of the so as in premature aging and premature death is one of the fundamental impacts of sleep deprivation. Now, of course, that's not immediate. But it is significant. And so just listening to Matthew Walker recently, he talked about how there's this very large-scale test done twice a year to show the impact of less sleep. And it's when we go into daylight savings times, which, is a test that impacts over 1.5 billion people. And so he said that the time that we switch from when we get 1 hour less sleep, the rate of heart attacks goes up 24% the next morning. And the time when we switch, so we have 1 hour more sleep, we have 21% less heart attacks the next morning. So, I mean, that's you could say it's anecdotal. It's not anecdotal. That's averages over more than 1 billion people, and it's on an ongoing yearly basis. So if that's not relevant epidemiology, then almost no epidemiological study is ever relevant. I mean, that's super, super broad and helpful. So that gives us an idea, right? So why is that the case? Because of what I just said before, right? Like that recharging, regeneration, like literally regeneration on a DNA level, regeneration on a cellular level, regeneration on an organ level, like everything that needs to be kind of processed and dealt with and worked on. If that is happening less, then everything works less well. And if you're already on the brink, if you're teetering on the edge of a major event, a heart attack, a stroke, or whatever, then just that less. But it shows how little, how just 1 day less can have that kind of impact. Imagine what the impact can be if it goes on and on and on. So we'll talk more about that later. Another big one is mental health issues. So I talked earlier about that processing stuff, right? So a lot of the time, when we don't have that time to process again for a long time, months, years, decades, then our ability to learn and understand and deal with the world becomes less and less. Now, if we're in a, Disney, everything is happy clappy kind of environment where there's no issues, then that's just unfortunate or annoying. But if our environment is already highly stressful, traumatizing, or challenging in many, many other ways, then people can be resilient. We can overcome a tremendous amount of adversity and still shine in terms of our mental health and our emotional health. But our chances of that statistically go down with every minute less sleep we have on average. So the less sleep you have, the more chance there is that trauma you're not going to overcome it. That adverse situation, that you're not going to be able to overcome it. So it's a hugely big deal. So that's kind of like mental health in the way that it's usually used. And then also in the sense of focus, memory, processing speed, and all the rest of it. That's all based on, the brain having enough energy, the brain having everything work as it should, which again, if we're not repairing and regenerating and rejuvenating and all the rest of it, is also going to go down. In fact, it's performance in every area, not just the brain. So, reaction times, people are much more likely to get in traffic accidents, for instance, if they haven't slept either, like last night or over a period of time. So that's predictive. In all kinds of areas, people where slight variations in performance make a huge difference, like athletes, for instance, sports people. They've measured that a lot and seen that, the reaction time to catch the ball or kick the ball or whatever it might be, goes down significantly. Or if we're talking about, more common athletics, then, your speed, you're going to run a race is going to go down or whatever. Like all of that is going to be impacted negatively. Practically, I find that these things are especially noticeable in areas where boosting stress chemicals, either with stimulants or just with, your mind, doesn't help. So, for example, a lot of people think, oh, I'm okay with the amount of sleep I had because I still have enough energy, or I still have plenty of energy even. And the thing is that energy can be faked with stress and stimulants. In fact, faked maybe isn't technically correct. I mean, it's real energy, but what it is it's drawing on a reserve of energy that is not ultimately sustainable. So, so energy, mental focus to some degree, processing speed to some degree, even things like reflexes and reactions to some degree, these can all be artificially boosted with stress chemicals. Most of the time people do that with stimulants, coffee, caffeine and all the rest of it. And then, so those areas can you can get away with not sleeping and it still seems okay. But there are other areas like memory is one that I observe. People are still quick and sharp, but they just can't remember stuff because you can't fake that with stimulants. Recovery, we just talked about, athletic performance, like your stamina being high. But this could also be, depends. These days, more people do mental jobs than physical jobs. But if you have to be on your feet all day because you've got a physical job, then that's going to be more difficult. You're going to feel the need to sit down earlier. You're going to be in pain sooner. If you have to, be sitting down and using your brain, you're going to get to a point of fatigue more quickly. Although, as I say, you can push through that with chemicals, stress chemicals and caffeine, but it's still going to be more difficult. And immunity is a big one as well. So you're more likely, if you have chronic diseases, chronic infections, they're going to be more likely to flare up, whether it's sinus, UTIs, fungus, et cetera, all the ones that we've talked about many times before. And then you're also more susceptible to actually catching some kind of acute infection as well, whether it's, you get food poisoning, whereas the person you went with doesn't, even though you both ate the same, or you get a cold, even though someone else doesn't, even though you were both in the same room, all of that kind of stuff, right? So lower immune system function. It impacts all your hormones. So we've done quite a few episodes now on hormones, and we know how important those are. We know how crucially important it is that testosterone is high for men or progesterone is high for women, for instance. Well, both of those take a massive dive, like as in if you have consistently 5 hours sleep instead of over 7, then your testosterone levels can be half that of someone who gets that much more sleep, and something similar with progesterone. Matthew Walker even talks about how men who sleep less than 5 hours have significantly smaller testicles than men who sleep over 7. So, which, is an indicator of testosterone production. But yeah, I guess it's literally, shriveling away. And I don't think the ovaries are as easy to measure as the testicles, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was something similar to that, like those hormone producing glands are really negatively impacted. So, as I said, every episode that we've done, detoxification and cardiovascular health and oral health, all the rest of it, digestive health, every single area that we talked about is negatively impacted through lack of sleep. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Rejuvenate podcast. If you want to watch the full episode that came from, just click on the link above. Or if you just want to watch our latest video, then click the link below. And make sure that you subscribe to the channel and like the video. Thank you.